Have you ever wondered how precise humanity had to become to build a machine like this?
It is. This is not just a film about a spacecraft. It is the story of how raw material, engineering drawings, and disciplines. This film was created so the viewer does not only see the space shuttle, but understands the real logic behind it.
This film is for people who love technology, documentary cinema, science, engineering,
actions. Its real value is not only visual beauty or emotion, but deep knowledge, systems thinking, learning, inspiration. In an era where content disappears in seconds, this film tries to do the opposite, to hold attention long enough for
what looks like one machine is really a chain of precision, responsibility, risk, that stretch and learning.
If you love stories where technology, cinema, and real depth come together, this film is waiting for you.
Visit the channel, follow the journey, and subscribe to explore more films about production, technology, and the systems that turn the impossible into reality. Welcome to the channel, subscribe, and let's explore the real journeys behind the machines, the processes, and the ideas that change the world.
Before it becomes a spacecraft, it begins as a promise that precision can survive extremes. In spaceflight, trust starts long before assembly, with proof.
Every ounce removed makes room for strength where it matters most.
Precision is not assumed here. It is earned twice, once by cutting and once by proving.
Flight begins when flat metal learns the shape of the sky.
What looks small on the bench can become enormous at Mach and altitude.
A spacecraft is born when parts stop being correct alone and become correct together. Structure gives the vehicle shape, but systems give it intention.
A machine this complex survives not by power alone, but by judgment made in milliseconds.
This is the moment a shell begins to think.
Before a vehicle can fly, its hidden conversations must be clear.
Spaceflight becomes personal, where machinery meets the hands that will trust it.
Main bus online. Confirmed. APU pressure green. Verified. Displays. Initializing. Voiceover. Complexity becomes used.
In missions this unforgiving, confidence is built one verified response at a time. Not every piece must survive fire. Some must return through it with grace.
A vehicle can reach orbit on thrust, but it comes home on shape.
Now the machine begins to look like the answer to its own impossible brief. Beauty means little here, unless the structure can survive what comes next. Power in this world is not raw force. It is force disciplined beyond failure. Nothing earns a place on the vehicle until it has argued with reality. Performance is only meaningful when the machine survives its own power.
The borescope shows no abnormal wear on the injector plate. Confirming readings against the dense charts, tolerances are within acceptable shifts. Verified. Residual.
This is where possibility gains thrust.
An engine is only as trustworthy as the systems that feed and command it.
Spaceflight punishes every hidden weakness, especially the ones that wait inside a seal. After brute force ends, precision must take over. To reach space is one challenge. To live there and come home is another. The return begins here, inside material light enough to hold and strong enough to face plasma. Protection is never generic, when every inch will meet a different fire. What looks fragile on the ground becomes survival at reentry. Coverage alone is not protection. Continuity is.
Spacing checks out. Adhesive integrity is perfect here. Perfect job. Verified defense. We're ready for closure.
Orbit demands more than arrival. It demands a vehicle that can work once it gets there. Integration is the first time the machine reveals whether its separate truths can live as one.
A spacecraft is trusted not because it looks complete, but because it behaves correctly when things go wrong.
Completion is not an ending here. It is permission to enter a larger system.
Where the orbiter is intricate, the booster begins with brute scale, disciplined by exact fit.
The largest forces in the system still depend on the smallest interfaces.
Spaceflight history teaches that every seal carries memory.
Before ignition ever comes near them, these structures must already deserve survival.
The shuttle rises on thrust, but it depends on a reservoir built like a continent.
The bigger the structure, the less room there is for invisible doubt. Even a giant must wear protection when cold meets atmosphere.
A structure this large only matters when every attachment knows its job.
Integration begins by teaching heavy things to stand in exact alignment.
Height in this building is earned one precise interface at a time.
The second SRB is placed. Structural lock confirmed. Only when both sides agree can the larger structure begin.
Now the system gains its spine and the possibility of becoming one machine.
In aerospace, grandeur is meaningless until the joints agree. Everything built apart is finally close enough to depend on everything else.
This is the most delicate moment in a machine built for violence. At last, the impossible design exists in one connected body. Assembly makes the image complete. Verification makes the mission possible.
A launch system proves its worth not by rising, but by what it carries into possibility. The system is no longer being built, it is being released. Even before launch, this vehicle needs another machine just to move.
When it leaves the building, the spacecraft stops being a project and becomes a mission. Some of the most important motion in spaceflight happens at walking speed. Reaching the pad does not mean the vehicle is ready. It means the hardest proving ground is next.
By the time a shuttle stands motionless on the pad, the countdown has already begun.
At the pad, readiness is no longer a claim. It becomes a conversation between every system at once. Before propellant flows, the mission must first exist as timing.
The seal holds pressure. Checkpoint 1 passed.
Roger that. Checking interface integrity. Status update. Ready for boarding? Clear.
To prepare for ignition, the vehicle must first surrender its protections one layer at a time. Long before fire arrives, the tank teaches the launch pad what cold really means. With hydrogen aboard, precision stops being abstract and becomes survival.
Pressure holding at 25 psi.
Boil off stable on both tanks.
Temperatures nominal. Countdown proceeds to propulsion interface checks.
Cold reshapes the vehicle before fire ever does.
Line pressure stable, feed conditioning verified. Confirming clean propulsion status, proceeding to cockpit checks.
A cockpit trusted in simulation must still prove itself in the cold breath of launch day.
No matter how advanced the machine, the sky still gets a vote. The countdown becomes personal when the people who will ride the machine step into frame. Every mission narrows to a few final steps taken toward a machine already full of consequence.
A spacecraft is no longer theoretical once people disappear inside it.
Suit systems check complete.
Copy that.
Status green below. Affirmative. Launch authority confirmed.
Once the hatch is closed, Earth stays outside by design, not by distance.
Launch begins with separation long before the vehicle leaves the pad.
Weather, go. Propulsion, go.
Boosters, go.
In the last minutes, success sounds less like excitement than agreement. Go.
T-minus 1 minute 50. Terminal sequence start confirmed. Ground launch auto sequence running. Orbiter internal systems now governing.
The machine that will leave Earth must first prove it can stand on its own. In these seconds, readiness stops being a checklist and becomes a point of no return. The first fire does not lift the shuttle. It asks whether everything behind it can survive being awakened.
When the boosters light, intention becomes motion faster than doubt can follow.
Main engine start. Solid rocket boosters ignited. We have liftoff. Liftoff confirmed. Shuttle is cleared for ascent.
The sky is not just a path upward. It is the first obstacle that must be crossed cleanly. The strongest machine is the one that knows exactly when not to push harder.
Once the worst of the air is behind it, more of the vehicle's strength can finally go toward reaching space.
Every stage of ascent is temporary by design, and that is exactly why it works. The first pieces to fall away are the ones that lifted hardest. After the roar of departure, precision takes the lead again. Even in separation, parts of this system are built to come back and be judged again. Reusability is never automatic. It must be earned back from the sea.
Main engine chamber pressure nominal. Thrust vector control stable. Altitude 15,000 feet. Velocity 7,000 feet per second.
At engine cutoff, momentum takes over where fire leaves off. What remains is the vehicle that had to survive every earlier compromise.
Once the tank is gone, control becomes quiet, but no less critical.
Reaching orbit is not the job. Opening up to work is. After all the thunder, space answers with silence.
The systems are stable.
Initiating payload power-up. Voiceover.
Orbit is where engineering gives way to use.
A launch becomes meaningful only when what was carried begins to matter.
Main arm engaged, payload grapple confirmed. Initiating restraint release. Voiceover. In orbit, delicacy can be as important as thrust.
Arm is engaged, preparing to lift.
Lift confirmed. Altitude check complete. Release imminent.
Some missions succeed by letting go. Even in apparent stillness, orbit is a place of constant correction. A good spacecraft does not just perform, it verifies that performance cost nothing hidden.
From up here, the value of precision is measured in perspective.
Coming home from orbit begins long before the first burn. A spacecraft must know when to stop working and start surviving again. Closing the doors is the quiet sound of orbit ending.
To come home, the spacecraft must first turn and face loss.
Deorbit is the burn that trades forever circling for one precise chance to land.
Nose attitude nominal.
Body alignment verified.
RCS pulses complete. From this point on, shape matters more than thrust. The return to Earth begins where air first starts to fight back. This is where every hidden tile, every gap, every bond is finally asked what it was worth.
Plasma stable at 7 degrees. Confirming flight profile. Aerodynamic load reducing. Checklist at 500,000 feet.
Getting through reentry is not enough. The vehicle must still arrive at the runway with exactly the right future. The miracle of return is that a spacecraft must finish by flying like an airplane without ever becoming one.
After orbit, plasma, and silence, it all comes down to whether the wheels meet the runway exactly once.
Glide slope. Speed check.
100 feet.
After every fire and vacuum above, the mission closes with rubber, concrete, and timing.
Coming home is a sequence, not a moment.
Even at the end, the shuttle does not stop by force alone, but by control. A mission is only complete when momentum has somewhere safe to go.
Even the tools of stopping are temporary in a system built around sequence.
Wheel stop is not the end of danger, only the end of motion.
After landing, thrust returns slowly and only by evidence.
The first approach after a mission is not ceremonial, it is forensic.
The vehicle's body tells the truth about the mission long before anyone writes a report.
Even silent engines demand respect after a mission. Reentry ends the voyage, but recovery begins when Earth systems reconnect.
Platform locked, systems green, ready for access. Affirmative, proceed with hatch sequence. The door opens only after the spacecraft has been persuaded to become safe again.
Welcome home. Let's get you out of there. Take your time, we've got you.
All the hardware exists for this quiet outcome.
A reusable spacecraft is only reusable if every mission teaches the next one how to survive.
After flight, the vehicle becomes evidence, responsibility, and preparation all at once. Back indoors, the mission is retold panel by panel.
The heat shield is where theory meets consequence most directly.
Reusability is not a label. It is a workload.
Main mounts retracted, initiating lift.
Cleared on the port side. Starboard clearance good.
What was integrated for launch must be separated to understand survival.
A flown engine carries more information than any pristine one ever could.
The price of bringing hardware back is that you must face everything the mission and the ocean did to it.
The booster recovery shows a slight deviation, correlating that with orbiter thermal performance.
Specifically near the aft skirt and the nozzle area.
A mission does not end when it lands. It ends when what happened can be taught.
The vehicle's true legacy lives in what it made possible beyond itself.
The launch was spectacular, but the value is usually quieter.
When people see the shuttle, they do not just see hardware. They see what a society chose to attempt. The longest mission of a spacecraft may be the one it flies through other people's imagination.
For reusable flight, endings always resemble beginnings.
A spacecraft flies again only after someone decides exactly what must never fly unchanged.
Complexity returns to the foreground once the applause has faded.
Every flown mission leaves behind a better question for the next one to answer.
Programs endure because memory is engineered as carefully as hardware.
The shield is never trusted because it exists, only because it is proven again. What returns to service carries both scars and knowledge. No shuttle mission was ever built by one building, one crew, or one moment. The program's identity was forged not in a single launch, but in the persistence to do difficult things again. Its greatest achievement was not that it flew, but that it enabled others to stay, see, and build. In aerospace, confidence is rented, never owned. What looks heroic from far away is built from patience up close. The fate of great machines is usually decided in places too small to notice from the launch pad. The launch pad is only the loudest chapter, not the longest one. Machines this extraordinary still depend, in the end, on ordinary people doing extraordinary work well.
The most powerful images in aerospace are valuable because they can be measured. The ignition timing on the port SRB looks nominal against the new model.
Trust returns to service one signature at a time. Reusable hardware carries history in its skin. Not everything in a reusable system returns, and that is part of the design. Spaceflight repeats only when complexity is taught to keep time. A reusable spacecraft becomes whole again only after its answers outnumber its doubts. Programs are remembered through symbols, but they are sustained through tools. When people stand beneath a spacecraft, possibility becomes a scale they can feel. The shuttle was always a contradiction, made real by precision. Nothing in this journey stood alone. Every moment depended on another.
What the world calls a mission is often just the visible tip of ongoing work. Trust in aerospace is built where human care meets unforgiving physics.
Its greatness was never just in flying, but in being made worthy to fly again.
No shuttle ever rose on engineering alone. It rose on organized society.
From factory floor to orbit, and back to the runway. The mission was always bigger than the machine.
This is how a spacecraft becomes more than a vehicle, by carrying knowledge out, bringing people home, and leaving the world more capable than before.
For this episode. That's it for this episode. Thanks for watching. We hope this gave you a deeper look at how real quality is made and quality and why trust matters.